welcome back to another episode of Scott's Quick Cash Class. Happy 4th of July to those out there celebrating the 4th. Be safe, don't lose your fingers, especially the ones that I'm talking to today. Did you just graduate high school? Are you over 18 years old? Are you curious what you're going to be doing with the rest of your life? Well, I'm not here to talk about the rest of your life. I'm just here to talk about some finance decisions that you can make that are really important, that some of the mistakes I made when I was your age. So hopefully we can give you some pointers to help you out of that. So did you know that 78% of people when they turn 25, they have regret about financial decisions they made. Now, I can tell you when I graduated and I just went to college, it seemed like everywhere I went, it was, hey, buy this, hey, borrow money for this, hey, why don't you get this, hey, you really need this. And it was a bunch of different people throwing money at me. And I didn't necessarily process the fact that this money's not free. That, I knew, like, okay, I had to make payments back on this, but I didn't understand the lengthy impact that it would have. Because when you start borrowing money at a very young age and not for good reasons, it just takes you down a cycle of making it easier and easier and easier to get into debt. And then when you're 30 or 35, you're so far in the debt game that that's all you're used to. So that's why it's really important when you're fresh out of high school, 18, 19, 20, that you make good financial decisions then, because that's really is what's setting you up for the rest of your life. So think about budgeting as permission to buy things, right? Like, you can go buy things whenever you want, but when you budget properly, that gives yourself permission because you've allocated and saved that money. There's nothing worse than having to spend money on something that you didn't want to spend money on. I'm a father of two right now, and when my wife comes up to me and says, hey, we got to take the kids to the dentist and this one needs a cavity, like, that's not what I want to spend my money on, right? But I've budgeted those things in my budget for, medical expenses, doctor's visits, things like that. So even though it's frustrating, I still don't worry too much about it because we've set aside those things. So budgeting is going to give you permission to spend money on the things you want. There's a few different budget percentages out there. I think starting off, having a 60-20-20 budget is the best for a younger person. And that's 60% of, if you make $1,000, 60% of that is on needs, housing, food, your mandatory bills. 20% of that is on wants, going out to eat, maybe, a new cell phone, things like that. And then 20% is saving and investing. And you can even divide that 20% up more. But I really think it's important that young people don't go above that 60% for their needs. Because when you get up to that 100% or that 90% or 95%, it leaves you no room, and your only option is to go in debt. So I know it's hard to get to that 60%, but you really have to figure out what your living arrangement's like, and you're gonna have to make sacrifices to stay at that 60%. So here are three things, or three basic accounts. If you're just out of high school and you're not sure what's going on, and you're like, okay, what are some things? You need to have three accounts. You need a checking account for your everyday bills, your debit card. You need a savings account, which AKA like an emergency fund, like you got money in there. If you need it, it's there. And then you need an investment account. So if you don't have those three accounts, you're always gonna say, well, I'll do it later. If you have those three accounts set up, when you get that paycheck, boom, it automatically, you can get it in there. And then your money's not just waiting around for you to spend it, because that's exactly what happens. And then if you're not earning compounding interest, somebody else is. That means you're paying someone else. So compounding interest is what makes the economy go. That's what continues to drive things. Banks, they charge interest. Car loans, they charge interest. Credit card companies, they charge interest. Everybody is charging interest or interest is accumulating. And if you don't have any investments or you're not getting anything that is getting interest rates and getting interest compounding, that means you're paying for it. So just be cognizant of that. So couple things to keep you guys in mind of when you're making that, you know, those purchases right out of high school. Make sure you're not buying a new car, and I'll just use new car as anything that's an additional car, right? Like, hey, I don't have a car, I'm buying a car. Don't get one more, you know, to impress people. Number one, get one that's going to get you A to B, and just don't overspend on a car, because it just puts you behind the 8 ball. And I can't even, and there's a ton of more expenses that come with buying an expensive car that we could talk about at a different time, and I did talk about in another video. Ignoring your credit score. You're going to need credit your entire life. Whether you think you're going to borrow money or not borrow money, having a good credit score is paramount. The sooner you get started on that, the better. Not tracking your spending. You know, this is kind of like the budget thing. If you're not keeping track of where your money's going, it's just going to disappear on you. And then not taking urgency, right? Thinking you're safe, thinking to yourself, I'll save later, I'll invest later, or I'll do that later. Stop with the later. Have a sense of urgency with everything you do. One of my previous episodes, I talked about one of the differences between millionaires and regular people. The millionaires take action within 24 hours. Start doing that, and that'll really help you see progress in your financial life. So thank you guys for watching today. We're going to leave you with the question of the day and the tip of the day. Question of the day is, if I handed you $500 right now, what would you do with it? Spend it, save it, or invest it? Be honest, right? And where your first thought process is, if it's invest, great. If it's save, you're doing good. If it's spend it, maybe we need to, you need to work on that mindset a little bit. And then tip of the day, the earlier you learn to live below your means, the quicker you'll be able to live above your means, right? I'll let that sink in for a little bit. I won't elaborate. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Every day I'm bringing you 5-minute videos to help you guys get a little bit more control of your finance lives and grow your knowledge on it. If you like what you heard, click the like button, subscribe. Once again, never going to sell you anything, never ask you to buy anything. I'm just here to help and offer you some suggestions from things that I messed up on. So till next time, hope you had a good 4th of July.